Welcome to the Catholic Messenger's first podcast, and we are going to be doing this on hopefully a regular basis. And what we'd like to do is introduce ourselves. I'm Barb Arland-Fye, editor of the Catholic Messenger, and our guest today is Bishop Thomas Zinkula, Bishop of the Diocese of Davenport, and we'd like to talk about RAGBRAI and why the bishop participates in RAGBRAI. But I guess we probably should start with, what is RAGBRAI?
So RAGBRAI is stands for, the acronym stands for Register, as in Des Moines Register's annual Great Bicycle Ride Across Iowa. And I think this was it might have been the 47th year of this. So it's a real fun thing and a tradition in our state.
So I know this wasn't your first time, and last year you rode for the whole week. Why did you choose to do it this year? And I understand you went, well, I know that you went for 2 days, and I went for 2 days too, as part of the pedaling to the peripheries team. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, after the last RAGBRAI, people were asking, how was RAGBRAI? How was RAGBRAI? So it was like a half a year of that, and then it was like a half a year of, are you doing RAGBRAI this year? Are you doing it this year? So people, about every place I went to, including nursing homes, people were asking about it, and so what the heck? And the team, some of the team members wanted to regroup, and so we had our reprisal and went for a couple of days this year.
And how did you choose 2 days as opposed to 5 days or 6 days or 4 days?
Right. I mean, the whole thing is 7 days, but I think it was, my schedule is kind of challenging, so I think I don't think I had I didn't have the whole week, and then the team too.
Yeah.
Couple days was going to be a lot easier. There's a lot of work logistically to get people around. There's drivers and there's support vehicles and arranging visits, overnight stays, and all that. It's just a lot of work. So 2 days is manageable.
So how often do you ride your bicycle now? I mean, how did you prepare for RAGBRAI?
I probably wasn't as prepared as I wasn't as prepared as last year. If I can, it's pretty minimal. I try to get at least one long ride in a week, maybe 2.5, 3 hours. And that's pretty much, 35, 40 miles, whatever. That's kind of, and then I do other things too, but to stay in shape. But it takes that's a lot of time, and I don't have that much time to go on lots of long rides every week. But that's pretty much what it looked like for me. Where
do you ride? I mean, where are do you have some good spots to ride? Yeah, a long ride? Right.
I have different routes. I prefer to do loops rather than going out and then back on the same roads. But I don't know. I'm close to the St. Vincent Center is close to the Duck Creek bike path, walking path, whatever. And so that can get me, rather than having to ride through traffic or put my car on my bike on my car, I can get out of town pretty easily, and then I'll just go out in the country, one place or the other, and go out in county blacktops, and again, hopefully do a loop. But I have lots of different routes just to change it up.
So have you been you've done RAGBRAI before, right? You've had some pretty interesting RAGBRAIs in the past, haven't you?
Yeah, I've ridden the whole thing as a young man. I can't remember, the first one was maybe 81 or 83, something like that, and then another one 3 years later. So I did the whole thing in those days, and then since then until last year, I'd do maybe a day here, a couple of days there.
Yeah.
But I've only done the whole thing 3 times.
And so tell me, what was the most unusual thing you saw in RAGBRAI this year? Can you describe what it's like out there?
It's a lot of bikes, and just a lot of bikes, and people with creative things, team names on their shirts and on their jerseys, and just kind of having fun, and then there's along the way there's stands where you can buy something to eat, or there's people having. And you get to a town, going through a town. There may be there's musical groups. Just like people talk about like a festival or a carnival on wheels. And you don't lose weight on RAGBRAI. People always say that because there's all kinds of pies and everything else you can think of, and so it's kind of hard to explain. You have to experience it, just be around it. It's a unique animal.
So what was your favorite food to get on RAGBRAI? Is there like a favorite stand or anything? For me, I think there was like a grilled cheese stand. That's supposed to be really the greatest grilled cheese sandwich in the world. Yeah,
this year was just 2 days, but last year, and there's some vendors that just kind of go along each leg of the way. They set up in somebody's yard or farm area. And last year there's this Amish group. It was a different group this year, but last year there's this Amish group, and they had fresh baked pies and homemade ice cream. And so I kind of got in the habit of finding them each day, and it was fresh, and sometimes the pies were still warm out of the oven. And there's this rhubarb custard pie that was to die for. It was so good.
So what was the most unusual thing you saw in RAGBRAI this year?
So I told you this before, Barb, when you interviewing me for the story in the paper, and you didn't put it in there. So now I can say it, and you can't. Anyway, keep it out. So there was, when you ride along, there's roadkill. You come across just like when you're driving and on the side of the road. So I don't remember seeing this before. Maybe it was they did this before, but I don't remember it. I remember one day, the first day, I'm riding along, and I'm almost past a raccoon, and there's something kind of glittery. What was that? I didn't see it very carefully. So then the next dead coon that we came upon on the side of the road, I looked closely, and somebody or somebodies had dropped Mardi Gras bees, like 2 or 3 strings of Mardi. So they're colorful, purple, green, whatever. They dropped them on the coon, and then placed an empty beer can in its paws. So for every dead coon, that's kind of clever and fun, and it brought a smile to my face. So that was the most unusual thing.
Well, and then I know that, on a more serious note, you and one of the members of our team, I think Jim Tichy,
right.
Didn't you come across an accident or something?
Yeah, it was right in front of us. We had to kind of be careful that we didn't run into this accident. Uh-huh. It happened because it happened right there in front of us. There was a young guy from California, and that road had kind of like a rut in the middle, and his tire, you have to be careful about that. His tire got caught in there, and he flipped over and came down on his shoulder, but he kind of held onto the bike, and he kind of came, and then he was upright at the end somehow.
Wow.
But he'd come down hard, and so Jim was really good. I was a little bit ahead as we were kind of going around this guy, and Jim was really good about stopping. And there's all these bicycles you have to be careful of, and coming back to seeing if he's okay. So we're seeing if he was okay. He had a cut on his arm. He had a Band-Aid that he's putting on there, and then we got to the side of the road, and we're looking at his bike, and it was something he had to fix on it, nothing major. And he was embarrassed, but he was appreciative of us being concerned about him. And so then he was back on the road. And I imagine the next day he was probably very sore because it was kind of a hard fall, but fortunately he wasn't hurt too bad.
Now, I was one of the slower members of the Pedaling to the Peripheries team. You guys are always out way ahead. What kind of speed do you do? And do people know that there's this bishop riding a bicycle across Iowa, or you don't? What do you wear when you're out there?
I just wear normal things. I wore Friday. We rode on Friday and Saturday. Friday it was college team or college day, whatever. So I have a Ambrose jersey. So I wore that, and then I wore our Pedaling to Peripheries jersey on Saturday. So it's nothing distinctive. People wouldn't know me as the bishop or anything.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I mean,
And I'm wondering, too, hospitality is an important part of the Vision 2020 initiative that you've initiated in the diocese. And so I'm wondering, can you describe some of the hospitality we experienced on RAGBRAI this year?
Yeah, so we stayed in Fairfield overnight before our first day's ride. So Thursday night we're in Fairfield, and they were there to welcome us when we got there in the middle of the afternoon, and just to kind of whatever you need. We stayed in the parish hall
At St. Mary's there.
At St. Mary's, and we had our cots and things and sleeping bags, and but I
got to sleep in a little more posh quarters, right?
I stayed with Father Adam. He was expecting to have more people, family members staying in his place, but not everybody came, so there was an extra bed there, so somebody should try to take that bed. And so that was really good, and they had food for us, a really nice meal, and they were very welcoming. Yeah. Father Nick, and then what was the staff member's name?
Berta. I think her name was Berta.
Berta, yeah.
Berta. And her husband.
And her husband, others too. Yeah, they were really great. And then in Burlington, it was a little bit different. There were 3 couples that kind of friends and parishioners, and 2 of them lived real close to each other. The other one lived not too far away. And so when we rode into town, there they were at one of their houses and waiting for us, and to kind of chit chat and give us something to drink and eat and kind of hang out. And then that night we went to mass and came back, and they had a meal, and and then they put us up for the night, and they were just catering to our every need. It was kind of over the top.
It was kind of an elaborate meal, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was very nice, very nice.
And they had really special desserts.
Yeah.
Did the desserts help fuel you up for the RAGBRAI the next day?
Yeah, I have a sweet tooth. Yeah.
I understand you were also commandeered by the kids in the families to participate in games that they had to use flashlights with outdoors.
Right. No, they were. When we got there, there's the group of kids, children of these couples, and then some other neighborhood kids. They had a stand. They were selling food items and maybe things to drink for to make some money for the Catholic school, I think, or something like that. And so they're kind of out there, and no one was really coming to buy their food when I first got there. So I went out and kind of hung out with them for a while. Got to know them. They're all Catholic school kids, and so they'll see me from there soon to celebrate Mass during the school year, and just to kind of get to know them. It's kind of the Vision 2020 and evangelizing. So just here's the bishop, and he's a regular guy, and you can have fun and with him and stuff. So anyway, so then in the evening, so after we had our meal, it was there were kids playing games, and so I was over there talking to them and kind of hanging out with them, and then it was getting dark, so I put the flashlight on myself. I turned on the flashlight on my cell phone, and was so like they could see to play this game. And then after that, we were playing frisbee. They had a frisbee though that was glowed in the dark, so that was pretty fun. So yeah, it was good to be with them.
Now we celebrated Mass each overnight stop on RAGBRAI. Priests of the parish presided at those masses. Why was that important to you instead of you presiding at the Mass?
Well, I mean, Mass just in general is important. Obviously for us as Catholics, the Eucharist is the source and summit of our Christian lives, and so for me, and I think for other people too, it kind of turns RAGBRAI into kind of a pilgrimage. If people want, it's like the what do you call that in Spain? The El Camino thing.
Oh yeah,
it kind of for some people, they were actually 2 or 3 people contacted my office from I think outside the diocese, just from wherever. And is the bishop going to say Mass again this year?
Yeah.
Because that was important for them. So it's just it sets a different context, spiritual context, establishes a spiritual context for it and environment, and for some people that's really significant. So for me, last year I celebrated Mass every year. I'm not going to be in RAGBRAI every year, and I can't do that every year. So it can't just be about me doing it. So it was, the parish priests in that particular overnight town, and they need to be the ones if this is going to continue, and so they offered, when the bishop was around, he should be the one, presiding, but I you guys, I think they kind of wanted to do it anyway. And interestingly, both of those priests in the towns that we were stayed overnight at had been on RAGBRAI before, so they knew that animal, and so that was really, really kind of cool. So I can celebrate it, and it just adds something special to it for me anyway.
What did you think of the turnout? Did you think pretty decent or not?
Yeah, I don't know. There were more in Fairfield, I think. It depends kind of how big the town is, where things are located, where the church is located, where the campground is, where things are happening, and how well it's kind of advertised and things. But I always hope that there's more. The church is packed, no matter any mass, weekday masses, even whatever. But but the people that wanted to be there really wanted to be there. Were there.
Yeah. What other opportunities did you have to evangelize on RAGBRAI? Any others that?
Yeah, I would just, besides with that young people, that.
Yeah.
I mean, another example that I would give is, so one of the overnights, I was talking to a guy for quite a while about, he's on the school board and very active, and we're talking about all these faith things. He just came back from a kind of service retreat kind of thing with his daughter, and he's excited about that, talking about that. And we're talking about the sacrament of reconciliation was so significant, at that event, and it is. And he thinks it's a very important and just about faith and the youth sort of drifting away from faith, institutional religion, and all that, and really a great conversation. And it turns out so then somebody, another adult, a friend, said, are you get him into the church, Bishop? Get him. He's not a Catholic yet, so you would have thought he just totally committed to the church and everything, but he's not. Hasn't quite dived in, and so that gave us the chance to talk about, okay, well, what is that about? What is it that what is keeping you from doing that?
Oh, that's cool.
It was pretty neat, yeah.
Wow. And then your friend, Bishop-elect William Jensen, is that how you pronounce it? Johnson, is a bicycling enthusiast, and he's going to become Bishop of the Des Moines Diocese. Will the two of you celebrate a future RAGBRAI experience, do you think?
Celebrate a future RAGBRAI?
Oh, did I say celebrate? Collaborate. I meant to say collaborate.
Yeah, no, that's a better. Okay, so I said a word. All right, so I don't know. He needs to settle in there and kind of get his feet on the ground. But I was thinking about, like sometime when the RAGBRAI goes through our two dioceses, when there's a southern route, we could do something maybe together with that, or maybe even in the middle of the state, where it could be all four dioceses. And I haven't, I haven't talked about this. It's way too early, but maybe we could do something on vocations or something.
Yeah.
And make a big splash with regard to that, and maybe seminarians ride one day and deacons another day, and whatever religious sisters are around. They're getting older, but could ride, or priests and bishops, kind of just to kind of do something with that, to have fun with that, and I don't know, some kind of a different angle on RAGBRAI, and
right. Maybe we could get some people on recumbent bikes, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, whatever is easier for folks.
Any other thoughts about RAGBRAI, or about ways to? I mean, you see this as a way to evangelize, whether or not you've got the collar on. What other kind of fun things?
No, I mean, I would just say, and I alluded to this earlier, Yeah, so when I'm on RAGBRAI, you're riding along, and
Yeah.
I don't have this big T-shirts that Bishop in big in letters. When people, you're kind of with your group and you're doing your
Yeah.
thing, and even at the stops along the way and the overnight towns, you don't interact with people tons, you
Yeah.
know, in a deep way, but.
Yeah.
But for me, what's kind of made the difference, the way I think that RAGBRAI has made the most difference, as in terms of a bishop on RAGBRAI, is it captures people's imagination. I hear about it constantly. Almost every place I go, people are tickled by that. They get it. They know what I'm doing without me having to say, good symbol. You shouldn't have to explain. So it's just being out amongst the folks, and Pope Francis talks about that, all the time, about getting out to the peripheries and the smell of the sheep and all that. They get it. They know I'm trying to make the church real and relevant. Given the role that I play as bishop, I'm out amongst the people, and they get a kick out of it. And I don't even know, where does that go? I don't know. They feel better about their faith, and maybe they think about, maybe I need to be get out there more, and with my faith in a more visible manner or whatever. And that's been the thing. There's nothing I've done as bishop that's captured people's imagination as much as RAGBRAI.
Right.
That's for sure. And so it's just this bike thing, but I don't know. Who knows what people do with that, or what the effect that has on people and the practice of their faith and feeling good about being Catholic, and whatever.
Well, we'll look forward to the next RAGBRAI then.
Yeah. So how about you, Barb? Turn the tables here. Tell me something that about RAGBRAI that is significant for you.
It's just really cool to be with. We had our team, our pedaling to the peripheries team, and it's just great that I love the idea of that sense of camaraderie, and the other idea though too, that you're on a bike, and there's a lot of time when you're by yourself too on that bike, and those are God moments. I'm looking out at that countryside in Iowa, and it's pretty amazing to think. I thank God that I have the ability to ride. I thank God that the weather was nice, and that it's an exhilarating feeling. I'd love to get everybody out on a bike.
Yeah, I think too it is. There's something spiritual about it, and that's like what we're So then with Mass, it kind of, I don't know, that kind of helps with that. Keep that. Kind of
it's a great way. To me, I liked having it at the end of the at the evening. It's sort of like it sort of capped the day. Yeah,
especially if you it helps you kind of see things more in a spiritual way. Like,
it does.
That day, or maybe the next day, whatever.
And I like it that, the priest, or even last year when you did it, you always incorporated into the homily something about that whole experience, and tied it in with the readings and what was going on. And that makes it, it makes you realize that, our faith is a lived experience.
Yeah, so I think, in terms of the team thing, and just there is this common thing that you share with everybody, these thousands of bikers, but so we're journeying together this week, and but we're also journeying together as Catholic Christians.
Right.
It's accompanying each other. Pope Francis talks about that, and encountering each other, and so it's like RAGBRAI with a spiritual twist to it. Yeah.
Saint RAGBRAI.
Yeah, right.
Or something like that. I just wish I could be as fast as you, but you have a lot longer legs than I do.
Yeah, well, I'm not. There's lots of people, lots and lots faster than me, including Bishop-elect Johnson. He's way stronger, like on hills and things. So anyway.
Okay. Well, thanks for taking the time to do our first podcast.
My pleasure.
You'll plan to do some more, right?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
I survived.
Awesome.
You survived.
I did. Thanks.
All right. Sure.
Okay.